Hi everyone, in this video we're going to solve the exercises from 1 to 5 of chapter 7 of Consumers, Producers and the Efficiency of Markets. This is a book of Gregory Mankiw, Principles of Economics. So the first question says, an early freeze in California soars the lemon crop. What happens to consumer surplus in the market for lemonade? Illustrate your answer with diagrams. So here we have the price and quantity for the lemon. So here we have the supply and the demand. So here the point where the supply is exactly the same as the demand curve, we have the prices and quantities of equilibrium, which are denoted by P1 and Q1. So here we have the first triangle, which means the consumer surplus. This is how we measure the welfare of consumers, because as you notice here, there were people that they were willing to pay even more for this good, but they have to pay less. So this is considered kind of between quotation marks. It's considered basically like a save. On the other side, so this is the consumer surplus. So imagine that we have the initial condition here, but because of the crop of this market, you know that this is going to be affected the supply curve, the supply side. So given that the supply curve is going to shift to the left, so what makes this? It makes that the quantities go down and the price goes up. So in this case we have the consumer surplus. We see here how it is reduced because of the increase in the price. Second, suppose the demand for French bread rises. What happens to producer surplus in the market for French bread? What happens to producer surplus in the market for flour? Illustrate your answer with diagrams. So here we have first our market. This is the market of the French bread. So here is the initial condition. This is the producer surplus. Remember that in this part of this curve there are producers that they are willing to sell even with a price lower than the equilibrium price, but because of the market determine the price at this level, these suppliers, these producers that they are across this curve, they can sell even a higher price. So this is a benefit. So for this reason, this is the welfare of the producers. Now, as the exercise says, the demand curve is going to increase. So what does it mean? It means basically that the demand curve is going to shift up or shift to the right in this case. So what is the consequence? The consequence is that the prices and the quantities, they are going to increase to the level of P2 and Q2. As you see, the triangle which determines the surplus, the producer surplus, it increases. So as it increases, we see how because of the demand increases, we have an increase in the surplus of the producer. So now we have to think about the market floor. So here we have the initial condition where the market determines the prices and quantities as the level of P1 and Q1, where supply and demand are exactly the same. So here is the initial producer surplus. So what happened? Because remember here we have an increase in the quantities of French bread. These producers of French bread need as input flour. So in this case, it's going to increase the demand of the floor market. So the demand is going to shift up. Okay, so in this case, we will see how, given an increase in the demand of French bread, it causes an increase in the floor market as well, in the demand. So we see here an increase in the surplus, producer surplus in both markets. The third point says, it is a hot day and Bert is very thirsty. Here is the value he places on a bottle of water. A. From this information, derive Bert's demand schedule. Graph his demand curve for bottled water. So here we have how Bert values the price of the water. So in this case, you see how the first bottle is really valuable. So because you are so thirsty, so you can pay 7. In this case, Bert can pay $7. At the time when she or he, I don't know, Bert is consuming more, he's value the bottle of water additional less because he or she's kind of satisfied. So here we have the price of water and the quantity of water. So here is this demand schedule. So here we have the price and here we have the quantity. So when the price is higher than $7, Bert is not going to buy anything. But when it's from 5 to 7, he will buy 1. When it's from 3 to 5, he will buy 2. He will buy the first and the second. And when the price is between 1 and 3, Bert will buy 3, these first 3. And when the price is less than $1, he will buy 4 bottles. So we can represent here in this side. Here is $7. So when the price is higher than 7, Bert is not going to consume anything. So we are on the y-axis. Immediately after the price is equal to 7, you will buy 1. Bert will buy 1 bottle of water. When the price is 5, he or she, Bert, will buy 2. Okay, when the price goes down to 3, he will buy 3, and finally when the price goes to 1, it goes 4, and less than 1, he will buy or she will buy just 4. Okay, so that's the demand curve, and this is the demand schedule. If the price of bottle of water is $4, how many bottles does Bert buy? How much consumer surplus does Bert get from his purchases? Show Bert's consumer surplus in your graph. So here we have the demand curve that we already built it. I already built this curve. So here is the price. Imagine that this is the price of 4. So here we have from the first bottle, remember that Bert will pay even $7. Okay, but because of the price is 4, you have like a benefit of 7 minus 3. So this is the benefit, the consumer surplus, okay, which is measured 1 times 7 over 3 over 4, sorry, so it's gonna be 3. Okay, so here is the first bottle consumer surplus. In the second bottle, remember that Bert will pay even $5, but instead of paying $5 for the second bottle, he or she, Bert, will pay $4. So it will be a second bottle, a consumer surplus of 1. So if we just sum both, we have a consumer surplus of $4. C. If the price price falls to $2, how does quantity demanded change? How does Bert's consumer surplus change? Show these changes in your graph. So here again we have our demand curve, okay, is this one, and here we have the price, which is 2. So in this case, Bert will demand 3 bottles of water. In the first one is going to be a consumer surplus of 5 because Bert will pay even $7, but actually Bert has to pay just $2, so it's going to be a $5 consumer surplus. For the second bottle, Bert will pay even $5, but Bert will pay $2, so it's going to be a $3 of consumer surplus. And the last bottle, which is the third one, Bert will pay even $3, but instead of paying $3, Bert will pay $2, so it's going to be 1 consumer surplus for the third quantity. So when we add up all these quantities, we have the consumer surplus is not 4. This is wrong. It's going to be 5 plus 3 plus 1 is going to be 9. Okay, that's it. Fourth, Ernie owns a water pump. Because pumping large amounts of water is harder than pumping small amounts, the cost of producing a bottle of water rises as he pumps more. Here is the cost he incurs to produce each bottle of water. A. From this information derive Ernie's supply schedule. Graph his supply curve for bottles of water. So this is the how Ernie is the cost. What is the cost of Ernie? So we have here the cost of the fifth water is just 1, but the cost of the second bottle is 3, and it goes up in the meantime as you produce more until the fourth bottle, which is 7. So the supply schedule is given by this. When the price is more than 7, Ernie will produce 4. Okay, when the price is in between 5 and 7, he will produce 3. Okay, it's going to be this because until 5. When we have the price from 3 to 5, he will produce 2, and when the price is 1 to 3, he will just produce 1, just because of this cost of the first. And when the price is less than 1, less than the cost of the first bottle, is better for him not to produce anything. So here we have the price of water in the y-axis and the quantity of water in the x-axis. So here we have, when the price is less than 1, he will produce 0 bottle of water. But when the price is exactly equal to 1, he produce in this case 1. Okay, this is going to be here 1. When the price is 3, he will produce 2. Okay, when the price is 5, he will produce 3. When the price is 7, he will produce 4. And automatically when the price is higher than 7, he will produce 4. Okay, so here we have the supply curve. B. If the price of a bottle of water is $4, how many bottles does Ernie produce and sell? How much producer surplus does Ernie get from these sales? Show Ernie's producer surplus in your graph. So here we have the same supply curve that we already built. Is this one. So imagine that the price is 4. So it means that, for example, for the first bottle of water, Ernie will even sell it at the price of $1. But instead of receiving $1 for the first bottle, he will receive $4. So it's going to be a surplus of the first bottle of 3. In the second bottle, he will sell the bottle from 3 since $3 he will sell it. but the price in fact is 4. So he will get a surplus of second bottle equal to 1. So here we have the produced surplus equal to 4. If the price rises to $6, how does quantity supplied change? How does Ernie's producer surplus change? Show these changes in your graph. So here we have again our supply curve, but now the price is 6. It's going to be in the middle of this one, 6. So it means that instead of receiving $1 for the first bottle, he will receive 6. It's going to be 5 of the surplus of the first bottle. In the second bottle, he can sell at the price of 3, but instead of receiving 3, he will receive 6. It's going to be a 3 surplus, producer surplus for the second bottle. And the last bottle is 3. Is going to be, he will sell even for $5, but instead of selling it by $5, he will sell it by $6. So it's going to be a surplus of 1. So when I add up, we have 9 as produced surplus. 5. Consider a market in which Bert from problem 3 is the buyer and Ernie from problem 4 is the seller. A. Use Ernie's supply schedule and Bert's demand schedule to find the quantity supplied and quantity demanded at prices $2, $4, and $6. Which of these prices brings supply and demand into equilibrium? So here we have first our demand curve, okay, and here we have our supply curve, okay, is this one. So the first thing is about the price. Let's try with the price of 4. Let's start with 4. If you notice here, we have here exactly a point where the supply is exactly the same as the demand. So here there's going to be a price of 4 and quantity is going to be 2. When we have the price equal to 2, we have this quantity demanded and this quantity supply. And for the price of 6, we have this quantity demanded and this quantity supply. So as a summary, with the price of 6, which is the quantity demanded, is going to be just 1. But the quantity supplied is going to be 3. So what's that? This is a surplus. You demand less what is in the market. So this is a surplus, excess of supply. On the other side, we have the price which is equal to 4, which is the equilibrium. Why? Because the quantity demanded is exactly the same as the quantity supplied. And the last one is the price equal to 2, so we have the quantity demand is equal to 3 and the quantity supply is equal to 1. So this is going to be an excess of demand. It's going to be called a shortage because the demand is higher than the supply. B. What are consumer surplus, producer surplus, and total surplus in the equilibrium? So here we have the two curves, okay, these two, okay, and here we have the price of equilibrium, which is 4, and 2, which is the quantity, okay. So here we have the consumer surplus, and here we have the producer surplus. So which is the total surplus? It's going to be the sum of the blue area and the green one. C. If Ernie produced and Bert consumed 1 less bottle of water, what would happen to total surplus? So this one is what I think about this point. So here we have both. So when Ernie produced 1 less, so instead of producing 2, Ernie will produce 1. And Bert, instead of consuming 2, he will consume 1. So what is going to be the price? So I just put, in this case, I'm going to put the price, which is going to be 3. Okay? So what happened at this price? Here the quantity demanded is the surplus is going to be this one. Why? Because there's going to be just one bottle, okay, one consumed less, and instead of paying $7, in this case Bert will pay $3. So this is going to be the consumer supply. On the other case, the supplier, he will sell at the price of 3 instead of selling at the price of 1. So this is going to be the producer surplus. But what happened with the total surplus? It decreased, because remember, this square belongs divided in two. It was split by the demand and the supply, but now it belongs to no one. Okay, so it's going to be the decrease in the total surplus. So D, Ernie produced and Bert consumed one additional bottle of water. What would happen to total surplus? So here we have again our curves. So what do I propose? I propose something like that. This is going to be the quantities, which is going to be 3. So I put like a price of 5. So in this case, what I notice here is that even the demand at this price is so high. So in this case, the Bert just will consume 1 bottle, because at this price he will consume 3, just in the case that the price is between 1 and 3. So in this case, it's impossible that the consumer will buy 1 more and at the same time the producer will produce 3, because in this case the producer will produce 3, but the producer surplus is going to be under 3. Why? Because he just will sell 1, which is going to be sold at the price of 5. So the producer surplus is going to be this one. Even they will try to even he produce 3, he will just sell 1. So this is going to be the producer surplus. And again, the total surplus decreased in this square. Okay, it decreases. Okay, that's basically all. That's pretty much all the exercises from 1 to 5. I hope it has worked. Have a great success with economics, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.